welcome to our live stream of Curse of Strahd as presented by For the Love of Crits. I'm level 1 Dungeon Master Hunter AU. Thank you again for joining us as we continue with our Lost Holy Men in Barovia as they journey deeper into the valley. For maps, we are using Tailspire, a new early access program available on Steam. For music, I'm using Sirenscape, an online program that allows us to sync our audio so we can all enjoy the same soundscapes in unison. In this world for Tailspire maps, I'm using a mix of different sources online. However, the lion's share is coming from Demon Gund, a creator of Tailspire maps with a focus in Curse of Strahd. We're going to go through and introduce each of our players before uh, our cleric Graves gives a recap. And we're actually going to start with Graves tonight. And tonight's question is, what is your character's most prized possession?
Yes, I'm Grand Mage Garion playing Graves. I feel like this answer, as I was joking earlier, has been the answer to a few of his questions, but it's probably going to be his lantern. Uh, Graves does not have many possessions in general, and most of them are like, hey, I got some clothes or a block of incense. But a lantern, he was given as he left on his journey here by his master's teacher, his former boss, Torin, who taught him everything he knows basically about being a cleric of Phrasma, was his boss when he was a gravedigger, although he doesn't remember that. And I mean, Graves doesn't have much memory in general. So before he came here, Torm was really the only person he knew. So it's kind of like, a memory memento of him. Uh, and he casts his spells through it. And it's also a cool little trinket that doesn't never goes out. So it's cool. Yeah.
Awesome. And then we're going to go over to Onyx, and we will have Konerith on deck.
All right, so Onyx's uh, most prized possession is a little golden disc um, that has a etching in it from one of the other clerics in the temple where he first learned about Akadi and all that. There's somebody very special to him, and he actually had it set into the handle of his hammer. It's in the very bottom of it, but so that way he never loses it. He doesn't ever plan to lose his hammer, um, and it's an easier way to keep track of the coin with the etching on.
Uh, Ganaerth is going to be a little bit boring in this round because his character is very plain, very simple. Motivations are quite simple themselves, so he doesn't have a lot of possessions that he necessarily holds dear. The things that he has with him are they serve a function, and that's about the extent of it. So there aren't a lot of things that he holds on to, whether it's monetary or food or anything like that. So he couldn't really claim to have a particular valuable item except growing fondness of this iron key hanging around his neck. So
And last but not least, Herbert.
Yeah, so I I think Herbert is pretty self-explanatory. He's a builder, so I think that his tools that he's brought with him are his most valuable item. He's got a set of carpenter's tools on him. Obviously he didn't have uh, enough room in his pack to take the weaver's tools and the smith's tools and everything else that he's proficient in and stuff like that. But you know, he thought it would be sort of a short trip, so he didn't really bring everything.
Makes sense. So, for this campaign, as I've said before, the content of Curse of Strahd has been, which was created by Wizards of the Coast, is notorious for being a campaign with very dark themes and genres. Program is intended for mature audiences as we do use adult language and themes. Viewer discretion is advised. We thank you all again for joining. We do ask you keep the chat civil, keep the chat comments to avoid spoilers for Wizards of the Coast Adventures and any other Wizards of the Coast adventure that has been published. We are going to have Graves give us a recap to bring us up to speed with our lost clerics in Barovia. And please, for the love of crits, like, comment, and subscribe.
So yes, we see our party of clerics as they are entering the temple, cathedral, whatever you want to call it, of St Andral's as they're passing through the door. And you see Graves kind of taking a bit of a slower step as he kind of looks back towards the streets of the town and he begins to think to himself. Balaki, that's the town's name. Strange. This part of Barovia looks much more beautiful, yet the dread I feel continues to grow. Perhaps it's because the devil follows us even now, toying with us. Regardless, along this mountain road, we were not alone. Even beyond the vampire, a man attacked us. Nearly feral, certainly mad. A druid, if I was to guess. I never met one myself, but I have been told their magic comes from nature and the land, and at a lad like this, it's no wonder someone with such magic would be driven mad. We were forced to kill the poor fool. Perhaps that was a better fate. Perhaps he can go to the boneyard for Pharasma's judgment. But from what we saw in Barovia, I do wonder. Eventually, we did make it here to Valaki, though. The town's much larger than Barovia, and the people here more welcoming. But the guardsmen wore strange masks and told us of an upcoming festival. Supposedly, they're weekly? Mandatory, it seems, for everyone. And they say that it's the happiness that keeps Strahd out of the town. But I do have my doubts. Yeah. We made our way here to the temple. On the steps just there's a young man studying the vampire hunter's notes. And a gravedigger brushed past us. His hands reminded me of my own. Perhaps we can find help here. Yet, I have more fear now than ever. Something dark is in this town. Happiness keeps the devil out, a bold-faced lie. From the moment we set foot in this town, I was certain. These streets, they're the ones from my memories. Yet, that alley, the alley where I died, I have yet to find it. What sinister power has its hold here? Is it the devil? What about that man I see in the mirror in my dreams? He was with Strahd. Was it he who seemingly slew me in this damn town? Was it Strahd? How did I even get from here to Beauchamp? I dare not tell the others yet, for I fear the answer. I fear what happened to me. I fear what I may have done. And, most of all, I fear what I may have become.
As you are entering into the Church of St Andral, also, before I get too far, let me go to our campsite. And Graves, if you could roll me a d6.
Yes. Luck points. I don't know where that went, but haha!
Hey, 6
I
luck
just
points to you. Thank you so much
I
for
just
going through
doubled.
the recap. I dropped my
You're
pen.
welcome. Thank
Pity
you.
for that performance.
So,
Thank you.
as you guys are all going in, I need each of you to give me a give me your passive perception. I think all of them are pretty much exactly the same because you're all clerics. But
I leaned a little more heavily into intelligence, so mine's a little lower. It's 12.
Yeah. I think the rest of us are 13.
13.
Okay. All three of you would notice them. As you are walking in, you almost get a feeling like on like your spine that someone is watching you as you are entering the church. And let's move over to the Church of St Andral. So, you guys oh, that's right. I created a copy of this map, so your character tokens are not here yet. Let me
Excuse me.
add those in.
Ooh. There's a kind of a green overlay on the that ceiling cap now. That shows you
Yes,
where it is as you're scrolling.
which I thought was
Oh, neat.
a bit
Really
useful.
nice.
Yeah, that's neat.
Wait, I put your guys' tokens in here. They like disappeared.
Oh, I see what you mean now. That's awesome, actually.
Just little
There is
features like
also
that. They're big.
Are you
there's
guys
also
seeing your
this guy
tokens go
over
down?
here.
Yep,
Yep.
I see mine.
Oh,
Yeah, I got mine.
okay.
There's
I
also
can't.
this dude over here. I don't know if we're supposed to see him or not, but
Oh,
he's there.
wait, are you? Wait,
Dude,
I can't see any of your guys' tokens. So you
that's
guys
weird.
have access to them?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Weird.
like Graves is basically standing
Sick.
like right here.
there's a guy with an axe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his
there's a
name's
guy from
Isaac.
actually.
So, as you
Looks straight
guys
out of
are
Dark Souls.
walking in, you get the feeling that you are being watched, and you look across the street.
Oh, that's who's watching us.
There you see a hulking brute, tall and broad-shouldered man. His gaze is on you, and it's cold as he looks at your group. He glances around, his gaze lingering on Irina a bit longer than the rest of you. In one hand, he grips a bloodied battle axe, almost as tall as he is. His other hand, no whole arm, is fiendish and misshapen, covered in barbed spines, each of his unnaturally long fingers ending in a sharp, wicked claw. Without a word, he turns away and begins walking down the street, turning into an alley quickly.
That guy is creepy. Also freaking awesome. I like that guy.
Yeah.
Um, Man,
I'll be
this is
keeping an
bothering
eye
me.
out
I
for
can't
him.
see any of your guys' tokens.
That's weird. I can see everybody.
Like,
Yeah.
Maybe
Like,
do you
even
have
in
to
tab,
redo
I can't.
do you have to
Did
redo your
you?
Hero Forge link maybe?
Yeah, the Hero
Or
Forge mod might.
Oh, that is. I did get that when I came in. But wouldn't it be your guys' Hero Forges?
I mean
I don't
that's
remember how it
where
works anymore.
it pulls it from the site and it's each of our logins that
Yeah,
will
because we
pull
still
that
have ours,
data.
and I still see everyone else's.
Yeah.
Is yours just not linked to Hero Forge maybe?
No, mine is.
That is okay.
Ah,
I don't know.
that duplicate now?
Oh, there's Granny with her apples.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know. I can't see any of you guys, so you might have to use your like markers to be a bit, hey, I'm looking at this or something.
Okay.
Alright, so
do you want to try
so
to
You could just
restart
bring up
yours?
the. You could also
um
just bring up the
yeah,
YouTube
so
and so you can see Josh's screen.
what I will do is there'll be a good stopping point I think up here. Um and also there is the cut box which will help a bit with this um particular map. But um we'll go with it for now and I might restart at some point. but for now we are able to go through. So as you are walking in, this slouching centuries-old stone church has a bulging steeple in the back and walls lined with cracked stained glass windows depicting pious saints. A fence of wrought iron encloses a garden of gravestones next to the church. As you walk in, you see that there is certainly um a chapel here. The layout is very similar from what you remember of the layout um within the Church of Barovia. Um One exception is whereas it was a the other church had rubble and was in disrepair, this one looks like it has kept some semblance of being kept calm and taken care of and actively used as a place of worship. To your right side, you see a woman standing near holy symbols and a small prayer chapel on the right side. She is bowing close to the ground, uh, kissing the base of the altar and weeping as you pass by. Obviously, in the throes of very devout and insistent prayer. You see the doors as you're passing them, that they look like they are likely the rooms that the priest himself would stay in order to live upon the premises. You see the priest ahead of you, the altar in the same location as the altar of the Church of Barovia.
With little Ismark.
He is giving a yes, clarification. This is a child, not a cursed man. Um, Tailspire does not have children models. Um,
Oh,
so, um,
good to know.
um, so as you see, you do see the priest is sitting there, who you assume to be uh, Father Lucian Petrovich. He is overseeing a service, giving prayers. To his side is a young boy, uh, and in altar robes, who is assisting with the lighting of candles, the shifting of papers, providing other things. And you're familiar with this type of um, job for the young boys from monasteries and stuff that you had been in the past.
Is
Within, oh, go ahead.
is this Irina with us?
Irina is, and she is traveling with you, kind of looking around. You can tell that she appears to feel more comfortable. Let me actually add Irina in because we now have a new token for her as
Oh,
part of our mods. So,
we
and
are like,
Yeah. We're all within that bubble.
oh,
oh,
Oh, she fancy.
let me make this a unique one so I can grab it more quickly in the future. And I am
Currently, she is
removing.
merged with Conareth. If you move her up, there. Now she is good. Conareth moved.
There we go.
well, there.
So we have her coming in. She instantly feels more comfortable as she arrives here. You can tell that she's looking around and this feels familiar as opposed to everywhere else in the city. This is definitely something that she is feeling. The church is more similar to the one that she had grown up with. Obviously, her family were devout followers of the Morning Lord, um, as they were going along. Within the congregation, you do see that there's a number of Wallachian adults, kind of an even mix of male and female, and about 5 or 6 children kind of mixed within the congregation. As you enter in, they do kind of look your way, and they kind of glance, but then they bring their attention back up to the priest in the front of the church. They move to the side, almost giving you guys a wide berth, but not so much so that you could comfortably sit next to them. Um, the one big difference that you do notice in this church as opposed to the church of Barovia is that this one has 2 extra entrances and exits on the far side of the chapels. So, whereas these were just solid walls at the previous church that you had seen. So, this one's much easier for it to be open to the air. Um, for it, you do get a sense as he is uh, giving his liturgy that the priest sees you and kind of glances among you as you are obviously men of the cloth who have come into the church here. So, with that being said, are you guys just going to wait out the service? Are you going to go ahead and do some of your own nightly prayers that you haven't had a chance to with being on the road?
If
Yeah,
he
Graves would
was,
probably just.
oh, go for
You
it.
go. You go.
If he was completing a service, I would probably take a seat in the back.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much
Um.
when in Rome.
All right, Reno, preach. Want to hear a good old sermon to the morning Lord?
Uh. And so, a lot of his uh preaching or his liturgy would actually be very similar to the prayer that you heard Father Donovich give um give at the funeral of the burgomaster. So a lot of it is not really too much of a surprise. Um as you are speaking with him, or as you hear him, he's praying to the morning Lord, and as it is transitioning towards the night, he's switching his prayers from the morning Lord to include the Lady Night, which um, Conereth especially would know specifically meant his goddess of. Could you remind me the name?
Tell you.
Selene.
Something.
Thank you. Um, that is the goddess of the moon. Um, at
Preach.
this point, certain people of the congregation, um, kind of stop actively participating in the service, and they seem to go around to the sides where the icons are and begin kind of doing their own thing, regardless of uh, the sermon that's going on and the prayers to Selune. Now, Kunerith, you would immediately notice this shift of the congregation, um, where when it switched from the Morning Lord to Lady Selune, they checked out.
Yeah, we've been told she's not well liked here.
So, as his prayers conclude, um, he is going to turn to the altar boy on his left side, and he's going to kind of say something like quietly that you can't really hear as he's talking. The altar boy is going to run past you guys on his little feet. There we go.
Bye, Yeska.
I gotta lock this green thing. There we go. That way it's not
Yeah.
shifting around. Okay. And he runs off to the side. Oh, he disappeared too. The heck? Um, so for some reason he disappeared. I don't know where he went.
Is he on
Yeah,
the
he
roof?
doesn't show up for me now
Oh wait,
either.
yeah, he
Is he on
he
the
did.
roof?
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So he runs into a room behind you guys. Um as he's going along, and you hear as he's opening it the sound of like pots and pans from within there. Um the priest begins to put out the candles. You can tell that he's kind of doing some of his final private prayers after the service. And he's going to walk around. He's going to stand in front, and the congregation comes forward. He gives them their blessing. And after the short line of congregation goes through, he walks to you, and he's like, "Welcome, my friends. Uh, I was not expecting men of faith to be arriving in my services these days. How can I be of assistance?"
Well, I believe that we're here to sort of seek asylum for at least a day or so for ourselves, and perhaps longer for our companion here.
Oh, yes, yes. The Church of St Andral has always been a beacon of safety for those traveling and weary. We have beds that I can't promise will be as comfortable as some of the inns, but they will at least be open to you if it is your desire.
Well, it is much appreciated. Um,
How
what is there like a
And you see
oh,
his face brighten, and he is unlike Father Donovich. This guy has a genuine like joy about him. He is not like burnt out the same way Father Donovich is. He gives kind of an exclamation of joy, and he's going to walk forward to Conereth, and he's like, "A fellow worshiper of Lady Salyun, thank you," and he's going to uh hug you.
oh he
Kenneth just awkwardly accepts the hug.
Like Conereth's arms are straight to his side, and
Yeah,
just
just
Like, do you want us to explain for you?
he's taken a vow of silence, but he has
um,
other ways to communicate.
say no more. So, uh, as I said, obviously the rooms are open to you. I'm so sorry. It's not too often that we see worshippers of Lady Selyun in these parts. It's a tragedy, as so many of the villagers uninformed have. I say villagers, but I guess most of the residents of the valley have taken to viewing her as more of a dark power in a sense, which it's quite tragic. So it brightens me to see that there is a uh, harbinger of good hope for Salyun, even if it is a silent harbinger.
Well, he can communicate. It's just um, he can do it in your head. So we kind of like to give people heads up first before
Mm,
he does, because some people, find it a little unsettling.
I I could understand that. Perhaps later when we could have discussions. I I do miss being able to have uh, deep theological discussion with other believers close to my uh, own belief. We obviously have and he kind of looking at your different holy symbols. And this guy, as opposed to everyone else, has given no heed to Irina. He is not looking at her in the slightest. He has only seen you guys and does not care about anyone else in your party. He's like looking and he's like, "Oh, you forgive me, your I have not seen your kind before," as he looks at Onyx. He's like, "I and nor do I recognize your holy symbol.
It's okay. I'm from a distant land.
And your god?
My goddess is Akari.
Ah, Akadi. I have not heard of this god. Um,
Makes
do
sense.
you know
That's maybe
it?
why you're plagued by Strahd. You know, maybe if Akari was shared here, Strahd would have no power.
Um,
Go near him.
Like,
so he you can tell like he goes to say something and he went back. He's like, I cannot speak to that. But if she is in line with the will of the Morning Lord, then we would have no quarrel. And even with low amount of insight, you could tell that you extremely offended this
Oh,
guy.
I'm sure.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
significantly.
Just
And he kind of went away. He's like, "And you, sir?" He looks at Herbert.
oh, yes. I worship Gond. I
Gone. That one I think I've heard of. Uh,
yes, he's really big in Waterdeep. Um, but he's more about inventiveness and creativity and
yes, yes.
building things.
I heard him mentioned. Um, I was at one point speaking with, I think it was Blinksy. He's a toy maker in town. I think he had mentioned him at one point, or perhaps it was one of the Vistani. But, uh, yes, I have heard of him, though I know very little about him. Again, if he is allied with the Morning Lord, more than welcome, within the church. And then we have, you with Pharasma, correct?
Yes, that is correct. The Lady of the Graves.
Yes. Um, I'm sure um, that you will likely be able to uh, help with some type of burial. Um, I know that we have a few services. I believe that Henrik uh, was looking at some point the next week, possibly delivering some extra bodies for burial. And if you
Yes.
are in town, I would welcome the assistance, as there has been.
Oh,
There's quite a few uh, services, and I am one man.
if I am in town, I would certainly be willing. In the town, in the village of Borovi, I aided with a burial not too long ago, and in the town where I've spent the last few years, I was the grave digger, in fact. So I'm very accustomed to that sort of thing.
Ah, yes, we have our own gravedigger. Perhaps you met him about Milvaj.
You
He
saw him.
is, yes, he is a man of few word. Um, but he is, uh, once you get to know him, he is a man of strong heart. Um, just as many in Barovia had a tough upbringing, uh, as he was, um, uh, brought up, I guess. So,
Well, there's those that are brought up on the outskirts of society, and
yes,
unfortunately,
and I am so sorry for my rudeness, madam. And what is your name? And he looks around you to Irina. Um, Irina, who's just been kind of glancing around, hasn't. She kind of gets caught off guard by the question, and she's like, "Oh, my name is Irina," and she gives a slight curtsy. Um, Father Petrovich uh kind of scrunches his eyebrows and he's like, like Irina of Barovia, the village. Um, Irina kind of looks around nervously at the rest of you. Um, at saying this, but does not answer.
I'll I guess subtly I'd probably posture a little bit defensively around her
I
and
would have
just
slowly
yeah.
put my hand on the hilt of my armor.
You've heard of this young lady before?
Right, of course, I mean, the news of the burgomaster's death has reached us in the last day or two. My dear, if this was your father, I am sorry for your loss. He was a great man that uh, held at bay many dark forces. I met him once when I was very young, when I first went to visit Father Donovich as part of my uh, initial training as a priest.
We have
Um,
heard good things.
Sorry,
I said we have heard good things. You
good
know, his
things about.
about the previous Burgermeister. Um, I do hope that his son will, you know, succeed him successfully.
So his son has what was the son's name again? Forgive me. And Irina would pipe up before any of you, so she's like Ismark. He's like, yes, Ismark. He was um not alive at the time that I had gone there. I knew that um uh Kolyan and Dirovich had a few children, but I was not sure of who or what they are. So it is my pleasure to make your acquaintance, as you are welcome here as long as you need. But I must ask, why leave Barovia for Valaki?
Well, you know, there's more opportunities here. She's a young lady, of
Certainly.
course, and for she's looking to broaden her horizon.
Certainly. That does make sense. I mean, uh, I'll I'll keep an eye out for possible opportunities for you. Do you know any trades? Sewing, cobbler, anything like that? Um, Irina would speak up and it's like, I did learn to sew some uh as a child, but uh not too much, as my mother was taken when I was very young. Um, he nods and he's like, so many that has happened to, but I'm sure that we'll be able to find a place for you to be able to at least get started. But even if it takes quite a bit of time, you are welcome here um, at any time.
It sounds like someone stubbed their toe out in the hallway.
Yes, I don't know what that is. But for now, we are going to be serving some food. We kind of do a communal meal. Nothing fancy, of course, but um, in addition to the uh, the graveyard, we do have a small garden nearby that we uh, have some vegetables, and what we have, we do share. So please, if you would like some soup, it appears that you have all been traveling for quite some time. I'm sure that you could use some warm food.
Excellent. Well, if you have anything that needs to be repaired or planned out or sketched or anything like that. That's where I can contribute.
Hmm. Let me think on that. How big for repair?
It as big as you like. I mean, probably not something that would take like months to do or something like that. But
Um, I mean, it is something that's aesthetic, but also somewhat functional. But the stained glass, and he kind of points behind him, and you can see that many of the panes of glass have been chipped away and broken. Um, he's like, it would help with the draft, but it would also restore some of the beauty of the chapel. This uh this chapel itself predates the Devil's Strahd coming into the valley. So it is a relic in and of itself. Any repairs to that would be greatly appreciated. Um,
hmm,
but I understand if it would take some time, as there are many pains.
hmm, it's a little bit out of side of my expertise. But I think if I call upon the power of God, I can make some short work out of that. And he'll pick up. I guess if there's a piece of glass that's like
There would
available.
be a few around there. Uh, Obviously, it looks like it has been cleaned up quite a bit.
Right.
But definitely a few around.
I'll just pick up a piece and I'll cast mending and like sort of meld it back into the spot where it was supposed to be.
Oh yeah, and you kind of see it's like it almost is like in your hand and it like hovers and then like and it like sticks in there and then it like melds back in. And he's like, oh, he's like, that is wonderful. I'm sure in storage we have the glass. Well, I should say but I mean the priest in the past. We didn't have the heart to throw it away, in the hopes that perhaps our prayers would be answered and the devil's Strahd usurped, leaving us free to be able to bring this back to the former glory in the true light of the morning Lord.
Well, this land could use a lot more light, that's for sure.
This on this we can agree.
But yeah, I think um, we'll figure out what we're doing right now. But if I could probably make arrangements to come back and like jigsaw the
Yeah, for sure.
stuff
And this can
together.
just be kind of a thing like that we can kind of determine like how much have you repaired, how much have you not. We don't have to
Yeah.
have you role play every time you
Oh, where
go
does
to
this piece
repair it.
go?
Yes. So,
Here
um,
we have a virtual like jigsaw puzzle that you got to do.
Yeah, honestly, it could almost be something that, like, if we are spending nights here, it could just be something that you do on a couple of evenings, go up with just pieces and like
Yep.
mending them in place for a bit.
Yeah.
oh, I mean that would be almost peaceful because your whole thing is like creativity and like it's almost like you repairing an art piece.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's like a
um,
big. It would be a big amount of inspiration for him, probably, depending on what the piece turns out to be.
Yeah, because
yeah,
normally in a long rest, 8 hours, you trade off keeping watch, but most likely we wouldn't be keeping watch here because we wouldn't really have to. So for your like 2 hours or whatever that normally is broken up to keep watch, you could just get up and do that.
Yeah,
I'd
just
allow it.
2 hours in a night or something.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's like doing a puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puzzles like you're just sitting there, you're not really doing anything. It's not something like super mentally taxing.
Yep.
I would allow that
Yeah.
um
I
as
wouldn't.
part of your rest. That's nice. I'm the DM.
True
um
that. Too far, I probably would too, but I just like to be an ass sometimes.
so um with that being said, food is brought out. The different villagers are grabbing it. It's a large cauldron uh full of soup. Um the young boy is helping the priest ladle out, and the priest himself is assisting with the giving out of the soup. And he waves you over and he's like, please, guest, eat first. And he hands the food and he looks at Onyx and like hesitantly like, would you like some food?
Thank you, but quite all right.
And he nods and passes it on to the next person.
Graves would probably try to go like the last of all of us if ideal. Which, as he
Mhm.
gets, he'll just kind of hold him like, I must confess, I also do not require food
How
myself.
strange.
I'm
He
not
has no
quite what I
pulse.
seem. But he'll kind of like speak a little bit quietly, so maybe not everyone else is hearing. He's like, if it would be all right, I was hoping to later speak with you in private. I did have some questions you might be able to answer for me.
Of course, yes. Um, I think that would certainly be possible.
Thank
Um,
you.
I will let you know when I am free for the evening.
Why, thank you.
When you say in private, do you mean apart from your other companions? Or
Yes.
okay, yes, I can certainly, my son. And
Thank you.
he and this is all kind of whispered. But question, Onyx, do you say that out loud that he does not have a pulse?
I probably would have.
Uh,
Right.
you would see that he would kind of glance at you and kind of look at Graves with further interest. Um,
My body has been altered magically.
yes. Well, we
I
will
won't say the nature of it, but I'm like, yeah, my
talk.
body has been
Uh,
altered.
we will talk this evening. Um, of course, I will find time.
Of course, when Josh said he has no pulse, my immediate brain thought that said he has no balls. I was like, you don't know that.
Well,
While Conera took an oath of silence, Graves took an oath of castration.
Yeah.
So
An oath of celibacy that he took very seriously.
Yes.
Um,
that's why his lantern is his most prized possession.
Mm.
Father, I do have a couple questions if you have a moment.
Okay. Yes.
How is it that Strahd does not come to this town?
Hmm. Let us not speak of that right now. And he kind of glances at the rest of the villagers waiting in line. He's like, these some topics are best in private as opposed to in the public field.
My -1 charisma. I'll turn to the others. Would you mind giving us a moment?
just
Please, no, no. He interrupts. He's like, these people, they should eat. Um,
Oh,
it
you're right.
will
You're
be
right.
later.
I forgot that. Yes,
It will
eating
be
is
later.
important.
Irina grab some soup, and it's been a while since you guys have had hot food. You've been mostly living off rations on your trip, so think like dry food like nuts, dried berries, jerky, that type of thing. So this is very welcome. That it's kind of a hearty soup with like parsnips and potatoes, root vegetables in general, but no meat that you can see. Um, out there. Um, as you are sitting there, um, the father kind of looks past you and he's like, Wilhelmina, please join us for uh, some food. And you see the old woman that was crying in the prayer room. She's like, oh, no, no, father, I must be getting home. I must, uh, must prepare food for myself and uh, our home. I will be okay. Thank you, though. And she bows as she leaves the um the church.
Onyx would actually probably follow her to make sure she gets home safely. Since
Okay,
I'm
so
bored,
you're going.
I can't eat. He doesn't want to talk to me now. Onyx is like,
Okay,
fine, I'll do something good.
so she is going to leave. We will come back to that
Yeah.
in a moment. Now, are you going to follow and tell the others what you're doing, or are you just
Nope, I
going?
just go.
Doesn't
Okay,
even tell her. She just keeps anxiously looking behind her.
It's a robot following me.
Yep.
so um whenever I picture Onyx, I imagine the robot from Rogue One. Um,
Mm.
when
Oh,
he's walking, like in like that tall, like just blank face, like just slowly following
you are
as
being
she's
rescued.
going.
Please do not resist.
So let me. Okay, so if anyone um sees Onyx just leaving the church, uh, what would you guys be doing?
I think Graves is too
Uh,
preoccupied with his own thoughts to care.
I mean, Herbert would be alarmed probably at first. He definitely doesn't want to leave Irina alone at the moment, but I guess Konereth and Graves would be here if he were to run off. And it definitely seems like Konereth and
Sorry,
Graves
I
would
did not hear
much
what you
rather.
said there, Herbert.
Oh, so I mean, Herbert's a little confused, so I'm just working it out. I think he would be alarmed at seeing Onyx leave. So,
Can you
I
guys
think
hear
that
me?
yeah, we
Yep.
can hear you. I can hear Tom in the background though.
Can you not hear us anymore?
Oh,
Hello?
you there?
Hello.
Oh, you're
Can you
glitching
hear
out.
us now?
Technical difficulties. Please hold.
Did
Hello?
your headphones get disconnected?
Oh, there he
And
goes.
he's gone.
There you go. Oh, he's back. Can
Can
you
you
hear us
guys
this time?
now?
Yeah,
Yep,
You hear
hear
we
us?
you.
can hear you.
Okay.
You couldn't hear us.
Okay, let me. Can you guys see me?
Nope.
No.
You gotta put your screen back on.
Now
There
we
we
can.
go. Okay. Um, so I did not hear the last thing that Herbert had said.
So
Um,
I think I'm gonna land on Herbert is gonna follow Onyx. Because he doesn't want to leave Irina alone, but then he's like, well, Konereth and Graves are here, and this is the middle of a city, so shouldn't be too afraid or anything like that. So I think he would follow after Onyx, seeing him leave.
okay. And as far as Graves or Konereth.
Nerith would be confused, but he's not too worried about Onyx. And especially after seeing Herbert kind of quickly glance around at everyone and then follow after him and be like, oh, all right.
Yeah,
They're
Graves don't really care.
like I'm cool with just chilling. Graves, so you'll probably stay in the church as well.
Yes. He doesn't really care.
Okay. So,
Split the party
um,
right down the middle.
so we're going to have two separate groups there. We're going to have the two that are staying in the church and the two that are traveling around town a little bit. So with that, we are going to take a quick bio break while I kind of prep the two separate forays and go to the bathroom. So we'll be back in about 5 to 8 minutes, I would say.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
19 and a half or so, apparently.
We are back.
Thank you so much for your patience. We got sidetracked. We have a large amount of new tokens that we are able to utilize using mods for Tailspire, and we got sidetracked as we were showing each other. So we are going to continue with our two companions that are traveling in the village first. If I remove you guys, can you see their tokens?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So let me pull over the old lady. There we go.
Wilhelmina.
All right, now, how obvious are you going to be that you're like, hey, I'm following this lady? Um, Even if it is for her own safety, are you like trying to be discreet? Are you just like walking down the middle of the road behind her?
I mean, I don't mind even just catching up to her and letting her know.
Okay. Um, so she is walking along. So as I said, an older woman who is she is obviously, you can tell that she has like almost like hip problems. Like she's walking and moving, not waddling per se, but almost like not bending her legs as like her one leg as she's walking. Um and she's going to so it's very easy for you to get caught up to this woman. Do you broach the conversation, or do you wait for her to be like to broach the conversation with you?
I'd wait.
Okay. Um, she would be um kind of looking at you. She has her hair kind of a remember look face that is still flush from the crying. Um, she has uh um she's not really carrying anything. She doesn't have like a bag or any like baskets or anything like that. But she is um hold on. So she is walking along, and as you kind of get in line with her, um, she's going to kind of glance at you, and as she's walking, she notices like, oh, he's keeping. So she's like, and she's going to like, as she gets here, she's just going to turn left like suddenly, and you can see that she's looking slightly nervous. Like she keeps glancing at you and then straight at the ground, and she's going to stop and um, move towards returning to the church. Um,
If I see her going back to the church, I'd be like, I thought you were going home.
she looks towards you and she's like, um, I, I was, but uh, I, I wasn't expecting any company, I should say.
Oh, no, I just want to make sure you got home safe. That's all.
She kind of squints at you. She's like, what? What?
Well, city streets can be dangerous for people. So I just want to make sure you got home safe. That's all.
I think
Uh,
Herbert sort of comes clattering up in his armor. Just, oh, oh, okay. Sorry. Just, uh, that's Onyx. My name's Herbert. Um, is everything okay here? Just, sorry.
um, she kind of looks over, and you can tell that she gets noticeably more comfortable with you being there as opposed to the hulking robotic man
Yep.
that has been talking to her. So, she's like, he. I'm sorry. What did you say your name was? And she looks um at Herbert.
Oh, yes. My name's Herbert. Herbert Lightforge. This is Onyx, my companion. Um, I'm
Do you give
sure.
any like friendly gesture or anything, or do you just kind of stand there still when he introduces you?
I'd nod my head.
I'm
Um,
sure he was just trying to make sure you were getting home all right. I just didn't want there to be any misunderstandings. I apologize.
oh, well, okay. Guess did father send you out after me?
No, nope, nope.
Oh, well, it's not that far. It's about a third of the way past town is our shop.
You have a
And
shop?
uh, yes, my son is was the cobbler um in town. He uh uh he mostly uh did most of the repairs for like the different hunters and the guards and things like that until recently.
What's his new profession?
Um she is
I hate
she's like
being this way sometimes.
he is imprisoned right now.
Oh,
Oh, oh, well, that wasn't the answer I was
oh,
expecting.
He's like, I just thought he was dead.
yep. Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna
Um
say Herbert was like behind, like, ah, but like, and
so
but
Udo, my son, um he he can be a bit rash. He's a good boy, but he can be a bit rash sometimes. Um so she kind of looks over at one of the walls and you see the Festival of the Blazing Sun posters. And very close by you see um the Wolf's Head Jamboree signs that have kind of been worn away and torn off. And she kind of looks around, and it's almost like she's looking around to see if there's someone nearby. And she's glancing around. She's like, "You can see the Wolf's Head Jamboree. Um, well, these festivals they happen every week or 2 weeks, but here let's get to the shop and then I can tell you a bit more. And she's going to kind of hurry forward. Let me see again where the shop is. I don't think there's actually a place on the map. I think it just tells you like, oh, pick a random house. And so um
that's D&D,
I know,
hey,
right?
right?
So
almost every town.
Directions don't matter.
so uh bam, we're going to go up here and followed by immediate right. All the way down here. And this is now the cobbler shop.
Okay.
So nice little bungalow. Looks like a decent living here. Um, and she is going to use a key to unlock it and uh walk in. She's lighting up lanterns as she goes in, and you can tell this is like right when you walk in, it's immediately a cobbler shop. It's like there's all the leather around. There is multiple pairs of shoes that are partway through being worked. Um, there are um like
Stop throwing all that
hundreds
bread
of
on the ground.
sorry.
I said, stop throwing that bread on the ground. You're attracting ravens.
So, as she goes in, at this point we'll kind of enter theater of the mind as I don't really have a home built for her. Um, so she's like, Excuse the mess. Udo did pretty much all of the uh cobbling since Ludo passed away. Um,
Problem.
do do either uh I, do either of you need water or anything?
Uh, we're fine. We just, well, I ate a little bit before I headed out, but um, I water would be fine, actually. Yes.
Yes. And she's going to um go in. She's like, luckily this is an old home, so we have our own well inside. It's quite nice actually. It makes for a nice change of pace, so we don't actually have to um go down the street to get water. And she's pumping it out, and she's like, apologize for not being able to talk to you openly in the street. The guards often uh, don't, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that my son was imprisoned by the guards, and I don't know if they're going to come for me next, or if you two seem like honest folk.
I
If
think that's true of both of us, yes.
if there's any possibility of being able to help free, I've been praying to the Morning Lord, but sometimes maybe you were the answer to the prayers. So he was imprisoned at the Wolf's Head Jamboree. As I said, he's a good lad, but he can be a bit rash sometimes, and he made a sign um that suggested that the Baron should be fed to the wolves. Um, and he did not like that.
Hmm. The Baron, is this the Burgomeister? One and
Oh
the
yes,
same? Or
Baron Valakovich. His family has been uh he's uh he's the Burgermeister of Valaki, and it's him that runs the um runs all of the festivals. He pushes for it because he says that the festivals are what keeps Strahd away.
Do they?
Well, Strahd doesn't attack the city, so I don't know. My son believed that they didn't, but he didn't really have an answer for why Strahd has never attacked Valaki.
How long have you been in Valaki?
My whole life, since I was born, since Ludo and I got married, since Udo was born.
Have there always been festivals? I mean,
Um, Probably since it probably started about 4 years ago, maybe
well,
more.
my understanding is that Strahd has been in this area for hundreds of years.
Yes, yes, hundreds.
Did he attack the town before the festivals began?
I don't know. I I'll be honest, the I'm not very good with history. I don't know much more than what my grandmother had told me when I was a wee child.
But you don't
But
remember Strahd.
No, but I do believe he exists, and he is, as they say, the land and the ancient.
Oh, I agree. But maybe your son is onto something. If you don't remember Strahd being here ever, and the festivals have only been 4 years, and you've been here for, well, looking at you, at least 60.
Herbert spits up.
Yes, I suppose so. I honestly don't know how old I am.
You don't know how old you are?
No.
I mean, I come from a place where it used to be very difficult to tell sort of like how long it's been. Um, we didn't really have a system for, counting the days.
Well, Baron Volakovich has been the he's been the burgomaster for about 10, 15 years, and under his leadership our lives have become much better here. And when I was a child, years didn't really matter. They you weren't really most children weren't really expected to survive past the age of 5. If they did, then they were likely going to survive. And that's just the way it was.
Was it
So,
hardships? You like children?
oh, hardships, wolves. Some say that the devil Strahd swept into the cradles and took the children himself. Some type of delicacy or nonsense. I think it was just my grandmother trying to tell stories to scare us. But regardless, I people of my age are not super common and lucky, and some of them just are the listless, as we call them, like Isaac.
Isaac, he was. Do we in character know that
You
name?
guys would not know the name. It was the name of the one token that you had seen earlier.
Right.
Isaac.
He is the captain of the town's guard. You
Oh,
may have seen him, tall man, bald. He is, um, carries a big axe and has a dragon-like arm, as I've heard it described.
oh,
Dragon?
yes, I saw him.
It certainly was reddish. Um,
Yeah, and you would know it did have scales. It was like scales with spikes on his arm.
hmm, I see.
But thank you so much for getting me home safe. And please, if you meet with the Baron or if you find another way, please if you can, get my Udo released.
Oh, of course.
He is needed in this town, as you can see, and she kind of points around the shop in the massive disarray of like orders halfway through. Um, I'm going. It's like
How many commoners
perhaps
can there be in this city? He's an essential employee.
yes, yes, yes. You understand, but I've been praying day and night since it happened, but it's been 5 days and I've heard nothing. The Baron won't hear my pleas. None of the guards help, and I'm just afraid that the worst has happened.
Of course. And what is your son's surname?
Udo? He is
Udon last name?
Udo Lukovic is uh our name. Well, I should say his name. I took the name of my father because there's so many uh it wasn't super common to get married when me and Ludo were younger. Uh, Priests were more busy with the funerals and things of that nature, so I still carry my my father's name of Rikalova, but Udo took his father's name of Lukovich.
Well, we will certainly ask um, if we run across either of those individuals for help with your son.
Now,
Um,
I they say that all is well. Be careful. If you create too much of a stir, I don't want the same thing to happen to you that happened to Udo. Please
Well,
promise me this.
we won't do much good locked up in a cell ourselves, so I think that's something we will certainly try to avoid.
Yes. I have asked the guards. They have not provided, and they told me to stop asking. And I don't want I don't want the guards to know that I'm trying to bring outsiders involved, because who knows what they'll do to me or to Udo if he's still alive.
Understood.
But thank you again. It was quite kind. Um, but I will not hold you away from your rest.
Oh, I don't sleep. But thank you. And I walk out the door.
We'll be fine. Thank you. The water was delicious. Thank you. Goodbye.
The water was delicious.
He
Dang,
knows you're supposed to compliment people.
They have their own well.
it's true.
Yeah.
There we go. It is starting to get dark as you are leaving her home. You see that there are um multiple people walking by. Um the town is starting to slow down in the streets. You guys just kind of make a beeline back for the church? Are you doing further exploration?
Oh yeah. I mean I think Herbert's interested in going back to the church,
Yeah,
but I think
same.
yeah.
Okay. And as you are traveling by, you see that um there are number of people, as I said, like that are walking through. You pass by a few taverns that are, as opposed to the rest of the city, seem to be fairly busy and have a little bit of rowdiness, which is something you haven't seen outside of the Vistani camps um, thus far, or at least in quite a while. You pass by a few different taverns. There's the Blue Water, or the um, yep, the Blue Water Inn. Then the um, yeah, there's the Blue and Blackwater Inn, I believe is the names of them. As you are passing by one, you do see some guards kind of nod at you as you pass, and they're like, "Welcome, travelers. Find housing."
We did. Thank you.
Perfect. All will be well. And they kind of continue uh going past. They're walking, and they are also wearing these masks that you saw on like around entrance, and you can see that's not just the entrance guards that were wearing these masks with the fake smile, so it's every guard throughout the entirety of the city. So you guys arrive back at the uh at the Church of St Andral without any incident. Most of the people are kind of winding down for the evening and don't really have a second glance to provide to new people that are now in here. So let me switch us back to the Church of St Andral. And we are going to cover what happened with Graves and
Well,
the
not.
and Kunarth. Go. Let me pull you guys over. Graves. Hey, I can see your tokens this time.
Hey,
There we
nice.
go.
That's always good.
All right, so you guys see Onyx suddenly walk right back out past everyone else and follow Wilhelmina. Herbert, looking around, seeing no one else is following him, decides to tag along. Um, the priest is continuing to serve people the soup, and soon after he kind of takes it back, and you can see he hands it to the altar boy, who begins to start scouring the pots. It appears in the back. Uh, he kind of brushes himself off, and he's like, my evening prayers are mostly finished for the evening. Would you like to meet in private now, or wait till later?
Graves will kind of, he's been kind of like sketching or writing or something in a book he has, and he's like, whatever works best for you.
So we
Overhearing this, because now it's just the three of us, uh, Aerith just gets up, kind of motions, and goes to the back room where the boy was cleaning the pots and just begins helping him do that,
he has a
clean up
servant's
after.
heart, that one.
That's it's a
Um,
very true statement.
let me and he kind of turns to Irina, and he's points to a woman in the corners, and then the woman comes over and starts kind of assisting Irina with finding a place that she can stay um in the evening, and we are going to hide her. So Irina is getting settled in. um you are, man, I have to lock this green thing, otherwise it like blocks
Yeah,
everything out. So it is through there that he is helping the pots. We'll get to you in a moment, Konerth. Um, so he's like, well, we still have confession booths, if as your liking, or if you'd like to just sit at the pew, we can just speak that way. But
that's
we should have fairly enough privacy either way.
yeah. Sitting here is fine.
Then please,
Yes,
my child, what ails you?
I I will be forefront in the beginning of this. I have no memory beyond the last 2 months for the most part.
Hmm.
I lived in a town named Beaushot as a grave digger. The priest of Erasma there thought I was a simpleton for many years. I barely spoke,
Yes, yes, we
but
have some of those here. Um,
I've seen some
we call them listless, soulless.
soulless. Before I continue, could you? I've heard a little bit. I've like met one before, but can you tell me about that? Because from what I hear, it sounded very similar to how I was before this. But I say from what I've been told at least.
So there is some that we know, or guess, I should say. Um, we, that is to say, those in the valley of Barovia cannot leave, as I'm sure that you've run into.
Yes.
Um, so, um, what's been speculated, by priests in the past is that this lack of being able to escape also affects things that come in. But it's not just bodies or humans, it's souls as well.
Hmm.
So we think that those things that we get are pretty much empty husk that don't have a soul to fill it. Obviously, just speculation, but that is what I have been told as I've been growing up. And who knows if it's true or if it's just an explanation of a phenomenon that happens. Other
Graves
adventurers have not really mentioned it happening very often outside, so I think it must be something to do with the mist.
Graves looks fairly concerned, but also like he kind of suspected something similar. He's like, "Hmm, yes, that would make sense, unfortunately. Well, then I guess suppose I might have been similar to that. Or maybe just an idiot, who knows. But eventually I seem to have died. Um, but before I was buried, I awoke again. Memory's gone, but as you see me now, but I'm not quite alive either. I'm not dead, but I'm almost as if
Or,
my
forgive me, I know this might be a difficult subject. I was able to speak one of your brethren of Pharasma, so I know a little bit about your god, but or goddess, I should say. Um, was this before or after you were bitten?
bitten.
Yes, I'm sorry. I can see upon your neck that you have
Oh,
been
sorry.
bitten.
No, that was very recent. In fact, that was the devil himself we ran into.
And you see them, um, you see him do kind of like a quick cross like against his heart of almost like a superstitious nature.
Yeah,
Uh, and he's like, I apologize. Um,
no, no, it's
how
fine.
recently was it that this happened?
This or when I awoke.
That with your neck.
Ah, that was what 3 or 4 days ago at this point.
I think it was actually yesterday.
So yes, yes, it was more than a night ago. I did take precautions last night as we all set up and chained myself to a tree, but
And you did not die?
I did not. Within this from my previous conditions, I said I'm not an un.
Was anyone else in your party bitten?
Yes, but they have all the same. None of
And
us.
none of them died since then or appeared to
No,
die?
I kept a very close eye. I do not sleep, so I was able to keep a close eye.
Okay. It
But
is obviously they have told us about the vampire. It's a very common teaching subject for us.
yes,
Um,
it is fair.
as we are, uh, it is something that would come up. Uh, as long as you
Yeah,
did not die from the bite, I have been told that you should be okay.
that is what my knowledge told me as well.
Well,
Or back before that, then, as I woke up a few months ago,
but no
I
bite
didn't. No bite.
that time. Okay.
I just died regularly. I woke up, and it's almost as if I'm not an undead, but my body is like almost if it's like frozen at this state right where I died.
Like a zombie.
Yes and no. I
Um,
have been in
he's
the
like,
areas of spells that affect undead and the like, and have been fine. And it's since then that I became a cleric of Pharasma, and I would hope that she would not accept an undead into her faith.
that is
But
fair.
I was then, after that, I was taught about Pharasma, and then we ended up here. But I did have two memories when I first awoke. Two short memories. That was all I remembered.
Yes.
One was some streets, and the other was being stabbed and dying in an alley. After we arrived here, I have not seen the exact place, but being here in Vallaki, I am certain that this is those streets from my memories. And here, I was hoping to ask you about a few specific things, and he kind of pulls out his book, and he's made 3 sketches while they were eating.
Okay.
First, he shows a sketch of the best of his
Roll me a
artistic ability.
performance check first to see how
Cool.
good your
Yeah,
sketches
I was
were.
gonna say, how good is Graves at sketching is the
Are they
question.
stick figures or are they like actual like good sketches that you could be like, oh yeah, I could see where that is.
I want to use my D&D Beyond one because it's pretty good.
He rolls a 1 and it's just like child's like
It's
scribbles where
11.
they just take a crayon and like
It's all right, I guess.
So this oval-shaped head, that's the
11's
other guy, and this square-shaped head, that's
an all
the.
right, right?
Oh,
Is that what you got?
weird.
11?
11, yeah.
Um
About average.
so um it's like you might have a few like markers in there. It's not something that someone would be like, "Oh yeah, this is exactly that they would
Yeah,
notice it." Or that
yeah. He's like,
more so if someone looked at it and didn't know the place and then found it later on, it would take them a little bit to realize they
yeah.
were the same.
It, he's like, so this is the place. I know I'm not the best, but this is the alley where I remember dying. Besides that, died two others, and he flips to another one that's very unique looking dagger. He's like, this is the blade that I remember being stabbed with. And then
Hmm.
finally, he flips over to a face where he has drawn the man that he sees in the mirror, and in the dream, he's like, and when I look in the mirror, I don't see myself. I see this man, and I've seen him in
Yes,
my
this is
dream.
your brother priest, correct?
I do not know. It is who I see when
This,
I look in a mirror,
if
but
I
it's not
remember
me.
correctly, this was the man I met about 6 months back, maybe less. That I said I'd met another priest of Erasma that I could speak with. He looks enough like him, and I don't meet that many people outside of Barovia. So,
Uh,
I mean, he looked different than most people around here. Um, so what city were you in when you woke up? Were you in Kresk? Were you in Barovia?
I was not in the Valley of Barovia. I was in a place
You are
called
you're not Barovian?
not to my I say I seem to have memories of here. But when I awoke, and for a couple of years before that, I was in a town called Beaushot and a land called the Forgotten Coast,
Well,
or the
forgive
Forgotten
me.
Realm.
I thought that you were a Barovian. Um, so I can't speak to that. The dagger does not look familiar to me. It is not an area of expertise for me. Perhaps
Uh,
others in the town may have seen something. I haven't heard of a murder um in quite some time. But knowing the Baron, he would try to hide something like that to continue his facade of all being well. I Please don't take that out of context. That's not exactly what I mean. Um,
it's all
but
right.
the man obviously looks like the other priest of Pharasma or cleric
Mm.
of Pharasma that had passed through here.
We,
This alley, we have a lot of alleys in
I, I can tell.
Belaki. Um, Perhaps talking to one of the guards, they might be able to recognize it, or they might
Yes,
know, like, if they heard about a murder, because it might have been reported to them, but not widespread.
yes. I will take a look around. This priest, then, he was a priest of Pharasma, you say?
Yes.
Do
You
you know
said
where he?
Oh, go ahead.
No, so you can continue.
You said you see him in the mirror?
Yes. If I see like water or something, I see myself. But if I look into a mirror, it is him that I see.
Do
And
other
twice.
people see him in the mirror as well?
does not seem so. It seems to be just me. And it concerns me.
Here,
It,
um, hold on. Where there is a small mirror behind the altar. Let me see. And he's going to walk around, and the mirror he has, it's like a. It doesn't even have like a edge around it, and it's just a
just
square.
little,
And he's
yeah.
going to bring it out, and he's like, "Here," and he hands it to you.
Grace
Um,
will hesitantly look in, I assume, see that face.
he does not. He sees his own.
It's like Grave sees his own face.
Yes.
This is strange. For the
What is
first
it?
time in memory, I do see myself, but I never have before.
It's strange. Well,
Twice since arriving here in Barovia, though, I have had visions or dreams of this man as well. Once in a town that I believe to be also on in the Forgotten Realms, the Lost in the Sword Coast, near where I'm from. And then again, last night, I had a dream of him in surrounded by mirrors, yet Strahd, the devil, was standing behind him.
hmm.
And now as you hand me this mirror, I actually see myself.
Well, can't say whether, as you said, reflection in water does the same. Well, we used to use that mirror as part of our ritual to gather the light of the morning Lord. Um, but it's been a long time since the light has shone upon here without the cloud obscuring it. Please keep the mirror if it will help you possibly solve this issue. Being able to check frequently, see if there's anything that causes you to be able to see this reflection or not, it might be of use.
I thank you. And this priest as well. That you said it was about 6 months ago he was here. Did have you seen him since? Do you know what became of
Mm,
him?
I do not. It's fairly common for visitors to be here and then we never see them again. The valley is a dangerous place. Um,
Was he
well,
alone? Did he have companions? Do you know where he came from?
I do know he came from outside of the mist. As far as companions, not anyone that I remember. He was the only cleric that I recall, and therefore took majority of my attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I must get back to my duties.
Yes.
We are going to be closing up for the evening. Yes,
If I have one quick final question for you, my friend. You did say you thought I was Barovian. Is that
yes.
simply because you just assume unless someone has particular reason, or was there a reason that you thought I was Barovian?
We have very few family lines. In Barovia, you just appear to carry very similar traits to many people that I've met from Barovia. And I mean that in the sense of the village of Barovia.
I look more like those from the village of Barovia.
Correct. The city of Valaki and the village of Barovia have been separated for long enough that you may have noticed accents or things like that are quite
Mm-hmm.
different, even though we are only a few days travel from each other. Aside from some small traders, there's not much travel between the two.
Hmm. All right.
And people usually, as far as finding um, someone, a mate, they usually just search who is closest. So
That's fair.
those family lines have stayed fairly pure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for example, Baron Valakovich, his family, and Lady Watcher, her family, they have both been here since Strahd himself settled in the valley. Their
Would you
family
say
settled.
that there is a specific family to your knowledge that I look more like, or just more the village of Barovia?
I'm not too familiar with the different families, Barovias.
Oh, it's,
Uh,
it's all right.
it's mostly the blonde hair and the strong jaw, I guess, would be the
Mm,
biggest things that stand out to me. Perhaps your companion Irina may know. Um, she
yeah,
obviously grew up in Barovia and so might have more insight.
yes. I'll have to ask her. Well, I thank you for your time, Father. If you would any of this to my companions.
You do not have a steady line of confessions without having a steady policy of secrecy. So I will hold it. I am going to. I know your uh, one friend that was skeptical of the Morning Lord. Um, likely had some questions for me regarding it, and uh, it's rather
So,
interesting that he asked me that question, as I've been wondering how to approach it myself, and so I would like to talk to you for uh, perhaps this evening or early tomorrow.
certainly, I might take a quick walk around the city first, but I will be back before too long.
Don't
Thank you,
do
Father.
not leave the town. They shut the gates very early and will not open it for anyone.
Don't worry, I didn't intend to leave the topper. I just, I might seek the streets from my memories.
Okay.
With that, I think Graves will, in fact, leave the chapel after that.
With Graves leaving the chapel, we are going to end our session there. Everyone split up. Um, and
Split the party.
we will continue next session with the conversation between Graves and the altar boy as they are washing dishes, and then kind of bring everyone
A
back
Conair, you mean?
Well,
into
Nerith.
there. Or
The altar
Conerith,
boy.
sorry. Conerith and the altar boy washing dishes. So um as far as that, we thank you for watching and look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah.